Hello, everyone, and welcome to the kickoff event of the product base. With us here today, we have Dr. Mark Thewin, who's the Director of MS in Information Technology and Management. He's been our guide and advisor throughout our journey. Professor, we would love for you to share details on the product base and how you think it has grown.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. So great. Yeah, so first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. This is our first meeting of the semester, and we'll have several others as we move forward over the course of the semester. But in general, when we meet as a group, we like to bring in an expert, an outside expert, working in the field of product management, right? And in this case. Lakshmi from Microsoft is joining us, and she's going to be talking about some of the things she does with Microsoft as might be a program manager, might be a product manager. I know last year when we met, last semester when we talked about it, I think it was a program manager role, but it's very consistent with a product manager role that the product base tends to focus on. And so we're very happy to have her with us and to hear what she's up to and to also get her advice on what it takes to be a successful product manager and a successful product leader. That's a big part of what this club is about, right? It's about learning how to successfully lead teams of people to deliver digital products, software products, right? And this is just kind of a growing area. It's an area that, 10 years ago, a job role, I should say, right, that, people were doing it, but there weren't as many people doing it. And it's, it's fairly recently just exploded in terms of interest and popularity. And we're seeing lots of interest from employers in hiring product owners and product managers. And so there's a lot of opportunity out there. One thing that I think is fairly evident early on, when getting into product management, is that it's multidisciplinary, really, and it requires skills from several different areas. So analytics, data science, project management, agile project management with Scrum, user experience design, and then understanding of technology overall as well. Just one final comment for me before I turn it back over to you is we do have a track within the MS-ITM program that focuses on product management. It's called the Digital Product Management Track. And if you're interested in studying this area at UTD while you're in the program, you should take courses from this track. I'll highlight or just talk about a couple of courses that we have that you may not be familiar with. One is a Foundations of Digital Product Management class. Florence Lowe has been teaching that for us, is teaching that for us, and she does a wonderful job introducing the field of product management to students in her class. She usually has students towards the end of class work on a project, developing and managing and designing a product, right, a digital product. So that's a very good class. It's MIS 6393. We also have my class on Scrum 6360, Agile Project Management. And then Professor Bill Heffley teaches a user experience design. Sometimes that's called customer experience design, but it's really all about understanding how to design superior customer experiences, right? So when we talk about digital products, we often talk about and look at, the customer's use of the digital product and their experience while they're using it. And so that's another excellent class. And then, I would throw in some analytics to go along with those two classes, right? So maybe it's data visualization, maybe it's managing IT in the analytics age, right? So these are all classes that complement the product manager role and help people understand it. So maybe I'll just share my screen very quickly. I'm sorry. Can I take it over just quickly? I promise this will be the last thing, and then I'll turn it back over to you. So these are the courses in our digital product management track. right? You can see them listed here in our catalog. Hopefully it's big enough for you to see on your end. And, again, they're all applicable to the field of product management. And, I'm excited about this club moving forward. We were nominated for an Owlie last semester. We didn't quite get, that final pick, but Owlies are given to outstanding student organizations in JSOM. And so we made it to the final round. There were four other clubs that made it with us, and so just to get nominated is a nice kudos to our leadership team and all that they're doing and accomplishing. And these clubs are student run and student led. So yeah, you'll see me here, right, and I'll talk sometimes, but it really is our leadership team that's guiding what happens and deciding what we do as a group and as an organization. And so if you're a member of this student club, feel free well, if you're not a member, feel free to join. If you are a member, get involved, right? Help shape the direction of the club as you move forward. So that's it for me. I'll turn it back over to you, Shannon, and I'll let you continue on. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was a lovely introduction. And thank you for specifying all the courses that our students could go for. As Professor already mentioned, our speaker for today is Lakshmi Reddy Piketty. She's the program manager at Microsoft, and she's also the founder of the Product Based Club. Lakshmi will be sharing all her experiences and her journey so far. During the session, if anyone has any questions, y'all can ask her directly or y'all can put it in the chat box, and we will make sure that we get back to all the questions that are asked. Apart from that, I think we are very happy to have Lakshmi with us. And Lakshmi, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you, Professor, for the introduction as well. I'm super excited to be part of this again after last year's session as well. And like Professor mentioned, I'll just talk about my journey with the club and then how I've ended up with Microsoft and everything. So back in 2019 is when I was with UTD, and I was in the JSOM program of management of MIS, Information Technology and Management. That's when everyone back then was like data this, data engineering, business analytics, business intelligence. Everyone was around the whole data trend and everyone was looking for those kind of jobs. And I was like, no, that's not me, and that's not something that would align with me. And I was at a phase when I was working with Nokia in my internship, exploring what I really wanted to do with my master's. And I came across this very interesting video. I'll drop the link here. It was a TED talk on thinking like a scientist by a Netflix product manager. And that sparked he explains a lot of different things about a product manager's journey and how they work through it. That's where I sparked my interest into product management. And I'm like, what does product manager do? Is this something that a newbie can think about? Are they skills that align with me? And that just opened a bunch of doors for me, a bunch of things that I started reading about, exploring, talking to a lot of people into product and everything. And I realized my personality exactly matches with what a PM does. There are so many skills that indirectly or directly you have as a PM, which just align with you. So that came in hand when I was trying to apply for jobs and then aligning my previous experience with it and having that to put forward my resumes or talking to people in interviews. So that's my journey to figuring out that I wanted to do product management. Now, when I got into Microsoft, a month later, I came back to the university and I was like, Professor, I realized that there is not many resources out there in the university that could have been easier for me or could have been easier for anyone else at that point, because people were not into product management. I'm like, there is so much more potential in this, and I think we need to start a club that would help the students and make it easier. And since I've done a lot of research and a lot of work I have already put in, I think the coming students or students coming next semester or the years to come, it would be easier for them to grab some help or see that. So that's how I started the product base back in 2019, along with another friend of mine. And it was, even though we just did one session that time, it was definitely successful. There was a lot of interest, and then look where you guys have come so far. I'm so glad that you guys were nominated by the Auli. So I'm happy. So hopefully this time that you guys get the award, and I'm super glad to see all the progress made so far. That's my journey into starting the product base. A little bit about what I'm doing right now. So like Professor was saying, program product manager. I started with Microsoft as a program manager. Back then, program manager, product manager, everything was just a single title with Microsoft. I was 2 years, 2.5 years into, and recently I transitioned into a product manager role within Microsoft itself with a completely different team. But something that I do on a daily basis, I work to drive different KPIs in terms of customer experience. So some of the projects I'm trying to drive is improve self-help opportunities, create videos for our customers to resolve their issues themselves so they do not create tickets. I improve the content writing part of it, work with editors to make sure the content that we are putting out there for our customers are up to mark and up to date. While all those are there too, I do also work on features for my internal customers, work with devs, other product managers to create specs and everything. So this is a little bit just of what I do on a daily basis. And as you all know, product managers are highly into meetings all day, writing specs and then brainstorming and design thinking and all of that. If you ask me what I really love about being a product manager, I think it's the cross collaboration that I have. Like I get to talk to a lot of different people, put on a lot of hats. You know, you have to think from a developer's point of view. You have to think from a business point of view. You have to think from a customer's point of view. So this all this thinking, right, that really evolves you as a person as well and makes you think differently. And that's what I fell in love with, the out of box thinking that you get and the opportunity to create your own projects and programs. So that's what I love being a PM. And I, like when you're thinking, if you think this is the role for you, think about these kind of things. Are you someone who loves thinking about new ideas? Are you someone who likes to talking to a lot of people? Are you someone who can bring the team together to convince on an idea? Are you someone good at negotiating on the different things that are out there? So while considering, highly recommend think through these small things which fit in with your criteria. That's the journey to Microsoft. Okay, let me take a step back and then talk about my
See,
journey.
unless it's something interesting. See, I'm kind of selective in what I do. Like, for example, you go play, like, for example, yesterday when you went to play basketball, I was like all excited to come. But then
Okay.
Sorry about that. You guys can carry on.
No worries. So let me take a step back and then talk about how did Microsoft happen, or how did any product role happen with me. So like I mentioned, the video, the TEDx talk, which thinking like a data scientist or scientist happened. And then I started reading books like Cracking the PM Interview, Decode and Conquer, read a lot about different product managers, did a lot of courses on LinkedIn on how to become a product manager. So the first step to understanding if you fit in or not is to understand the role what you're in. Like, what is a product manager? What do they do? So I really needed to understand if that aligned with what my interests were. And once these LinkedIn learning courses, once these books and all that I read through, the base was formed. I knew that this was the kind of role I wanted to, and I understanding the ins and outs of being a PM, you can next tailor your resume to match that. So understanding the PM role is first thing. The second step is, I know a lot of us have directly or indirectly worked as a PM in multiple different spaces. You might be an electrical engineer doing something which a PM does as well in a different sense. So it could be anything or any background you're coming from, you must have done something with the PM. So having a knowledge of what a PM does is the first step. Second step is tailoring that to present yourself or like brand yourself out there, or to create a story for yourself is the next step. Now, the third thing is, how do you go hunting these jobs, or how do you go preparing for these interviews and all that? The books, like I was saying, Cracking the PM Interview, Decode and Conquer, there are a bunch of other books out there who have in detail descriptions about how you need to tackle these kind of topics or interviews. So PM interviews are very different from any other interviews out there. They have a lot of different things. One is design and strategy thinking, or design thinking of questions. Then next would be situational questions. And third thing would be behavioral questions and what you have done in the team, and then et cetera, et cetera. Along some technical PMs do have more technical questions as well, like they might ask you coding, but mostly PM questions are like the three major things that I mentioned. So behavior and situations are based on your past experiences, and if not past experience, you can tell what you would do in that situation. So that's something that everyone can work on themselves. But the main one is design and strategy questions. Like, how do you tackle them? There's actually a set format for like I will paste the link over there and I'll go through it in detail later, or like you guys can reach out to me later. But the format is such that you need to understand what the customer thinks, or like put yourself in the customer's shoe, define who the customer is, then talk about the end-to-end step process of the customer, and then what kind of features will you include, summary, and then lastly, a closing statement. So this is just a random format, but I'll not go into the format. I'll go into how to crack the interview process. So for PM interviews, I highly recommend you need to do mock interviews, and they're so important because design thinking doesn't happen one like randomly, or thinking out of the box does not happen on the day of the interview. You have to train your brain to think that way. You have to constantly keep feeding your brain to think about the different ideas. When you see something out there, you're like, oh, this could be a great feature. Or like, look at a software, you should be able to analyze what's wrong, what's right, or what can you improve in your daily life. So when you're preparing for your interview, I would say initially, after the whole understanding what the PM does, getting your resume ready, take 1 2 weeks just to watch videos on latest technologies, watch TEDx talks on things that are coming up, or technologies that are coming up, features that are coming up, softwares that are out there. And on your daily basis, train yourself to analyze, and then also talk about, tell yourself, or like critique softwares that you're using on a daily basis. It could be just WhatsApp or like Instagram and all that. Like, hey, I don't like this feature. I wish this could have been better, or some of the other way. So that's something that you need to do on an ongoing basis as a PM. But okay, going to the mock interview stages. This is a month or 2 long process. You can month to 2. Initially, I would say the first step is learning and shadowing. Okay, so the first step in learning and shadowing, when you have to reach out to a lot of folks to do mock interviews. It could be your friends, it could be people on the groups. I can add in links where you can just post saying, hey, I'm looking for a mock interview partner. I'm looking for someone who to do a mock interview with. These can be absolute beginners. These can be people who are also interviewing. These can be completely random strangers. But I highly recommend the first 2 weeks is just to shadow a mock interview. You should be ready to just take another person's mock interview and just be silent. You don't necessarily need to talk or give the answers in sense, but you can. But the first 2 weeks, it's so important to do the shadowing process, is because you understand how to take a mock interview, how to give a mock interview, and then what type of questions are usually asked in the design thinking process. When you sit through a mock interview, you will be able to hear through and write down their ideas as well. So when you ask a question saying, hey, design an alarm clock, or design armor for an astronaut or like someone fighting or anything could be. When you ask those questions, you're actually listening through their ideas, their ideology, their out of the box thinking. So always when you're shadowing, learning, or even when you're doing the proper mock interview, take notes even when they are speaking and when you're not speaking as well. So that is a great tip. You can always refer back to those notes. Learning and shadowing. Next step is defining. As I mentioned, write down the thoughts, ideas during interview will give you clear answers. Have a notebook and create, I would say that have it all jotted down. The last bit is perfecting and giving as many mock interviews with an industry expert. So how does a mock interview happen? It's like either a 1 hour session where you agree with a complete stranger. You ask a question first, they take time to answer like they would answer in an interview, and then you are when they ask you a question and you answer in the interview format. This way people can exchange ideas and all of that. So that's a mock interview format. First, you can start off with your friends, then you can start off with complete strangers. Lastly, I would say do 1 or 2 mock interviews with an industry expert. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn. Some of them do agree, some of them don't. They don't have time, but these groups on Facebook. Women in product could be product school. There are a bunch of different groups out there which would definitely help you find mock experts. They can do it. I highly discourage you folks, do not pay for any mock interviews out there. I would not suggest to do that. There are a lot of ones out there that are being charging you folks, but I don't think it is necessary. You can absolutely crack the interview on your own as well. Any questions on this slide? We can move on. Shannon, can you go to the next?
No, yeah.
Okay. The roadmap basically plan is spend three months on the entire process. Month 1, learn the PM concepts. Month 2 and 3, focus on mock interviews and perfecting the design format, as I mentioned. The next would be the presentation, understanding the concept of product management, the key traits or key features you need to have, key skills you need to have as a PM. Go through the links, books, and everything, and YouTube videos, TEDx talks. All of these are very helpful. Lastly, the mock interviews, making sure you find your partners, prep with someone who is starting fresh, and at the same time, go to someone who is an industry expert. Do as many mocks as possible. I highly recommend that. By each mock, you get so much more confidence that when you are sitting in the interview, you do not feel a thing. Honestly, by the time you get to the interview, you're so used to talking to so many strangers, it feels like you're talking to you're doing any other mock interview, but which is actually an interview you're giving. And that the confidence you get by the end of it, they will definitely like you for that. That's here. And like I mentioned, the resources are here: Facebook groups, Slack channels, LinkedIn Learning, books. Design thinking, I highly recommend everyone to go through what design thinking is, maybe do a LinkedIn Learning course on design thinking, makes you understand what the features or what kind of ideologies you need to have. Another thing I would highly recommend is the MBTI test, which gives you analysis on what kind of traits work for you and what kind of features. That also really helped me understand that I can be a PM, or it fits the criteria and everything. Any questions? Did I go too fast?
Hi, Lakshmi. I have a question. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Hi, Lakshmi. Thanks for beautiful presentation. I'm a software engineer. I have 4 years of experience as working as software engineer with IBM. I want to transition into product management. So as you said, shadowing and working on a lot of mock interviews helps. So how can I portray my software engineer experience into the product management? Because I know how to develop and how to test and all those things, design the products. So how can I leverage that experience to showcase it as a product manager experience in resume, or how can I discuss that in the interviews?
In the interview, see, you would be a great asset for being a TPM, technical product manager. Bringing that expertise knowledge, you can put yourself in the dev shoes to understand the business and understand what the developer can pick up or not. So having that knowledge is very important, and there are a lot of companies that really want that kind of experience. Uh, because you're going through UTD and JSOM and the whole technology program, that's like your stepping stone. You can always say that I had the developer knowledge. Now to increase or bring in the product knowledge, I did my masters and I did these courses, which what made me think like a business from the business perspective. And you can sell yourself in that way, saying I understand the business perspective while I understand the developer perspective. So I'll be a great asset in bringing that balance in what I put forward in terms of requirements, in terms of ideas, and in terms of anything that the project needs. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Another question is, I heard a lot when I was interacting with a lot of PMs, existing PMs. They told me to work on product portfolios. Like, what are the project you worked on? Try to create a portfolio for that so that you can showcase it to the hiring managers or the you can discuss during the interviews. So, do you find any format which helped you in the process in this, or is just PDF or PPTs you used?
So you're talking about portfolios of what ideas you worked on.
Yes, correct. For this
Um,
academic projects or side projects which you did.
Definitely take all your PDFs with you, I would say. I personally I had worked on projects, but in my internship, I did not present anything to them because it was through my company. So I did talk about it. You can explain. Some of the questions that I was asked was like, what is your project, your favorite project from your previous company that you worked on, which was related to product management. Then you explain that, and then you can go in detail. Another great tip, I would say, if you're giving an in-person interview, get up, take your marker, whiteboard it. Uh, Interviewers love visual, and people understand better when you're visual about it. So go ahead, take your chalk, take your marker, go ahead and draw it. And if not, virtually also there are whiteboards that you can use to do it virtually. I would
Right.
definitely recommend doing it because any product manager or any interviewer sitting there, they love that. They love that you're like energetic about doing and showing them what you've done. So highly recommend if you can draw or like schema or like could just be talking about it within points, do that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
All right. I'll just take a lead on the chat. There are a couple of questions here that I'm going to read out. So, Lakshmi, you can just answer those questions one by one. But before I do, I saw Professor raising the hand. So, Professor, do you want to ask any questions first?
No, let's continue on. So thank you.
All right, cool. So, Heenal is asking, what's the difference between a product analyst and a product manager?
Honestly, it depends on the company and it varies from company to company. Probably in Microsoft, there is no product analyst as such because there's just only program manager or product manager. A few other companies have a distinction that product manager is only a senior PM like level, and then product analysts are someone who's just starting out. So it all depends and varies in company to company. There's no particular difference in the role, I guess. And it all depends on the company again. Like within Microsoft itself, there are like multiple different PM kind of roles and multiple different job categories and all of that as well.
Got it. We do have a question from Nishant. The question is that can you please talk about transitioning from a different stream like BTech mechanical to product management, and how what were the key aspects from your end that you took in order to do the transition?
I am the sole example of that. I'm coming from civil engineering with no context of anything to do what I'm doing in Microsoft. But one thing that really helped was my master's, like, having that to show. And I was very bluntly honest. I'm like, I cannot code. In my interviews also, I told them like, I'm not a coder. I can bring you that product sense. I can bring you the out of the box thinking. I can bring you business knowledge and everything. And I understand the framework of how things go, but I am not a coder. So you cannot expect me to be that. And they were very happy about it. And they understood that I didn't have that coding background or a computer science background, but I brought in a different part of it, the energy, the talking about the out of the box thinking and ideas that I shared with them, the projects that I had done, and the design perspective and understanding the customer. All these things cannot be taught in school or college. It's something that you just have to be empathetic and understand the flow through things, and your BTech doesn't bachelor's doesn't define your where you end up in. And that's just, I as much as I do not regret doing that, like I do not regret whatever I did in my bachelor's, because engineering it teaches you life skills. I feel like you learn to do different things on your own and you understand how things work. But masters was masters, MBA, whatever you're doing next is like, if you're doing it in IT, that itself shows that you're transitioned your career into it. So from here on, when you're talking about it, you can honestly say that I come from a very different background, but then I wanted to change it. I thought that that did not suit where I or did not feel that's where I belong. So that's why I did my master's. And then my master's taught me that I would be great in business thinking, or like could be design thinking or user experience. And I feel like I'm more empathetic with my customers, and I understand how I can create products or features. I'm always thinking, oh, I can improve this, I can improve that. So just put all these kind of thoughts when you're putting forward in your interview, and be very blunt about it. They on like there's no need of hiding what you have done before, because that is why you're doing your master's, right? That's why you're doing something into IT. You're changing that. So I hope that answers.
Yep. When I was doing my BTech, one of my professors did mention that BTech is all about hacks and masters is all about formalizing those hacks into real life problems. So
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more to that. There's a question from Tejaswini. Her question is: would the traits of product manager that you mentioned also apply to product owner?
Product manager and product owners are a little different. More like product manager is like an overall whole product or project, and product owners go into the features, who talk about, okay, I need this feature to have specific so and so ideologies, or these are the expectations that I need from this feature and all that. Traits, kinda yes, but not necessarily, because I don't think product owners need to constantly think about different projects or different programs that they need to have, or they don't plan for like 1 year ahead, or they don't plan for new out of the box ideas. They work on the project given to them, and they think about, okay, what features do I need to add to this? I hope that's something.
Awesome. Daniel is asking, what kind of key phrases and skills can we include on our resume to stand out as a potential product manager?
Hmm. Key phrases in your resume. I included I can tell you what I included. Design thinking is something I included. User experience I included. Um, Market research is something that I had done in my interview. User research. Then out of the box thinking. Um, Cross-functional collaboration. These are some terms that you can use in different areas, but that's something that worked for me, I guess. I don't know now if this is the industry standard or if it would be picked up and all, but something that I used in my resume back then.
I do have a follow-up question on the same thing. since it's been a year for me to finishing off my first year as a master's student, we were in the phase of applying for internships, or obviously for product management roles as well. Would you suggest to keep on updating your resume as per the job description that they are calling out specifically for product managers, or if not really, then do we have any kind of generic skill set that are required so that we can put that all together? The reason why I'm asking that is because I tried that method of updating my resume again and again based on the job description, but it definitely took a lot of time throughout the day to keep on updating the resume and still going out and applying. So what would you suggest in this critical moment of application?
I would definitely say have two resumes. One, your standard resume, and then having a resume with the same, based on the standard one, tweaking here and there. Do not change the whole thing based on that. Like if you have 5 projects that you did, and then you're applying for a PM role, which is a specific industry, change that 5 projects to include only 3, which meet with that. And don't include all 5. And then even the job, if you have done previous experience, maybe include lines which would align with that. I know it takes time, but then I would say that extra time is worth it if you can push through, but definitely have one standardized resume. uh, the format I still follow JSONs, like literally, honestly, I love the resume format, and it's worked for me in that sense. But you can just tweak around in terms of skills and all that. I feel like it all varies from job to job. So some PMs need coding skills, some PMs do not need that, some PM need more analytic skills, some PMs just need design thinking, user research, and all those kind of skills. So having that tweaking is definitely important based on the resume.
Yep, makes sense. We have a question from Lee. So I do have a question regarding the certificate. I realized that you have received the certification in Google Analytics individual qualification. Is it necessary for product managers to have the certification?
No, not necessary. That's something that I got through one of the courses in at my master's program. So I haven't used that now. Maybe if I join Google, maybe I would use it, or any other smaller company which uses for ad generation and all that. But I personally haven't used that, and it's not for a product manager.
Okay. The next question is, do recruiters look for IT engineering background? What are the chances for someone from a non-technical background with a little exposure to IT and software business in workplace like that can get a chance?
I did a lot of networking, and the interviews I gave and got through, it was just not Microsoft, few other places as well, but none of them uh, right out asked me, do you have engineering experience, or does it matter? Because they don't care. All they care about is, can you do the job now? And do you have the mindset, or do you have the mindset to learn that? And like what Microsoft really saw was the growth mindset. And that's what they see even in any interviews, like, because all these skills can be taught. Having that growth mindset in you, willingness to learn, willingness to explore new ideologies, willingness to talk about all that is what you cannot teach someone. So that's what most companies look for, I think. Yeah.
All right. So there's a question from Jasmine. I have a question. I'm from computer science background, and I just finished my undergrad and directly transferred to my master's program in ITM. I'm interested in product manager role, but since I lack experience, what role should I focus on for internship?
um, I think you still can focus on product manager role. You would definitely be a great TPM. Like I was mentioning, if you have the coding skills, put that forward, say that you would be a great PM. And since you're coming from the coding background, you understand how features work, how the background schemas and all that, APIs, etc., and all that work. So bringing that into the table is a great way to publicize or brand yourself. If you really think that's not working out, another way is internship. Start off being trying an SDE role, and then when you do get there, talk to a lot of PMs, transition into a PM role. So there are a lot of people, sorry, I'm going off topic, but there are a lot of people in the industry also who have asked these questions. How do we transition from SDE to PM role? One thing I tell them, and maybe won't apply to you folks now, but might be in the future. But one thing I would advise is try transitioning in your company first. That's the best way to transition into a PM role. If you're doing an SDE job and if you want to be a PM, talk to your team, talk to your PMs on the team, shadow them, take up projects over there. PM transition in your team or in your company first, and then you can switch to a different company. That's a good way to like switch easily. But if you're like switching right after your master's, that's honestly, they're going to treat you as a new grad anyways. All your experiences before you join your master's would not be really relevant to them. It will be added bonus, but that won't be as much as it would be in an industry switch. So you can easily say, I bring in a lot of knowledge from my coding background or my IT background, and now I just want to bring in that business knowledge which I got from my master's, and I want to put it forward to be a PM.
All right. Anisha is asking a question with respect to staying updated in your job, which even I have a similar question. So the question is, what do you do to stay updated or upskilled in this role of product manager? What skills should a prospective product manager learn apart from the courses that Professor mentioned in the earlier today in the call?
There is no specific course I would say that other than what Professor mentioned that would really help. It's like go through the courses, you'll understand what industry PMs do or understand how the technology and everything work. How do I stay updated? TEDx videos, new softwares out there. What is each company doing? What are your competitors doing? Like if I'm in Microsoft, if I'm doing something, I do to bring forward an idea or something, I do some market research. I go see if there is something out there that we can adopt similar to that, right? It's like competitive analysis and all that. So that's how you keep staying updated. And there are a lot of LinkedIn learning courses in that you can always be a better PM. Something that I want to like, maybe not now, but maybe in the future, I do want to do an MBA as well. That is another way to increase your knowledge, but that's all only to increase your networking, maybe understand leadership skills and all of that. But as a PM, if you go through the courses Professor mentioned, there's a track now. I didn't have a track back then. We didn't have a product manager track, so that I'm glad that you guys have that that's a really great way to also publicize yourself. You can always say that, hey, I'm specialized in product management. That's a boost there itself. JSOM is providing us the opportunity. I never had that, so I'm jealous of you guys, but it's a great way for you to push that forward, that I'm doing masters in ITM or business analytics or whatever it is, and then say that I'm specializing in the PM track. So that's a good boost there.
Thank you.
Yes. I do have a last question here. How often do you work with UX researchers? If yes, what interactions do you have with these researchers?
Every time we have planning cycle, every 6 months, semester wise. And then I think a month or two before the planning cycle locks, and then we go into the new session. I do work, if I have an idea that pops up, and then idea is just brand new. None of the team is like understands what to do, what kind of features, is it good, is it bad? Then I work with the UX designer, UX researcher, and all these folks who actually take this idea, do some lay out some user research, like user questions, and they do take user interviews. It can be customers, end customers, there can be internal customers who use these idea or feature that could potentially have. And then we have a workshop where we all brainstorm and we all put stickies all over the whiteboard just to jot down our, like a brain dump session, which is also run by a UX designer. And then once we have all the features laid out, they the screens, the UX, the design screens and all are given by them. So I probably twice a month when we are working on some brand new feature. Yes.
Thank you.
That's great. I think we are done with almost all the questions right now. Shannon, do you want to carry forward ahead with
Yes.
the? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for answering all those questions. It was great. Before we end the session, I would just like to inform all of them present on the call about a few details on the product base. I'll quickly share my screen here. So our mission here is to spread awareness about product management to all UT Dallas students. We are also trying to help students to be successful as product managers when they are and to have effective contributions in their company. Few of the metrics of the product base are we are right now over 330 members and we've organized 21 events. We have over 20 speakers that have come to the product base. And as you can see, we have multiple 4 and 5-star feedbacks. We have an annual plan for the year 2022 to 2023, where we go ahead and set our events that we'll be scheduling for the coming 2 semesters. So how we plan this is in the first stage of conceptualizing a solution. That's where the prototyping and the scoping takes place. So we plan on having at least 2 events based on these topics. Moving ahead, we have at least 1 event on the routine product management tasks and how to deliver the solutions. Post that, we have a deployment product analysis. And finally, as we know, most of the students right now are looking for internships and full-time roles. So we also work with experts to give their advice and prepare a proper product and project management interview mock questionnaire. And we also have sessions where students could get shortlisted and we give them different product managers who have a lot of experience and can help them throughout their process. This is some exciting news. Our next event will be by Swasti Ponda. She's an application product manager at Google. She'll be speaking about transitioning to a PM from supply chain. And for more details on this event, we'll be putting up an Instagram post. So you can scan this QR code or just follow us on Instagram and you should have all the upcoming details. I have most of the questions wherein people ask me how they can sign for a membership. And we have that on our website. It's just $10 for a lifetime membership. We have Zelle and Venmo as our payment methods. For any other questions, you all can just email us. I've put up the email IDs here. You all can email either me or Varun. And you all can also just follow us on various social medias. We make sure that our social media officers are keeping a tab of any new requests or DMs to make sure that they can get back to you as soon as possible. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone who's attended this event and for your attention. Professor, thank you so much for your time. And Lakshmi, once again, thank you for a wonderful session today.
Thank you for inviting me. All
Yeah,
the best,
Lakshmi,
everyone.
I do have just one quick question, if I can just ask this one final question. Maybe it's you. How much of your work are you doing remotely versus in the office, right? And so with COVID, things are changing every week, every month, right? It seems like just about every day. So what's your current kind of work
So
modality?
officially, I'm supposed to be working 3 times at least, but my team is super flexible and they don't mind me working from anywhere. So that's why I'm working from home most of the week. Yeah.
And how about when you interview a new applicant or a candidate for a PM job? Are those done in person, or are you doing them
No,
all through
virtually.
Teams? Yeah.
Teams.
So that's, for everyone on this call, right? When you think about interviewing for jobs, it's, from what I've seen, almost always virtual, right? So you want to make sure you're comfortable in a virtual environment conducting the interview, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, thank you for your time. Always good to see you. And sounds like you're doing great. And congratulations on all your successes so far.
Sorry, I do have a last question for Lakshmi. This is personally from my end. You did mention that you are also planning to do MBA. So there are two questions. Number one, what was the motivation for you since you have already reached a level of product management? And what was the motivation for MBA? And the second thing is, what do you think would MBA degree would add on to your credibility later on?
The credibility will probably come when I'm fighting for the VP job or VP position 10 years down the lane, with people who also equally have good MBAs out there. The skills are not something that I would learn. I was looking for learning. It's more of networking and talking to people in an environment where everyone's coming with an experience, right? Like I have the great experience with JSOM, understanding the business and all of that for an IT perspective. But then now something I'm looking for leadership skills for understanding how to work in a very stressful environment and understanding different case studies and then case studies in terms of different companies and all that. So that I feel MBA would be a great addition to something that I can add on to the resume as well. And not for now, maybe 5 years down the lane, I would definitely think about it.
Awesome. We can hope you to see here in UTD for MBA soon. But yeah, thanks a lot for the session. And for the students who are joining the call right now and have questions with regards to the membership and stuff, you guys can reach out to Shannon or me on Teams, or we will try our best to roll out an email. For now, we are good to go. Shannon, anything else left from your end?
No, that'll be all. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.
मेरे को भी नहीं पता था, मेरे दोस्त ने लिंक भेजा।